How do you organize your board meetings right now? All meetings switch to Zoom. Well, that's just it. You're having virtual meetings. You're not having in-person meetings. Hopefully, as time goes on, you'll be able to get together more than 2 people. The primary reason that the seminar from March was shut down by the police in the beginning of the second day was that we were having more than 2 people, and when the more than 2 people guideline came out, we were shut down, even though we were spaced and we were following all the hygiene things. But it's going to be by Zoom call. But they shouldn't be postponed. They may be delayed a little. Which markets do you think emerge once the crisis is over? Well, the biggest beneficiary of the coronavirus is healthcare. Healthcare, telco, which is now morphed into internet and which is now morphed into the cloud, etc. I said on a post on social media a 3 days ago, I said you'd be long healthcare and tech and short the rest of the market. I'm going to say that again slow. Long healthcare and technology and short the rest of the market. Technology isn't going to be affected. And even though healthcare is affected, it's been affected not just in a bad way, but in a good way, because unfortunately people are going to be getting sick. There's going to be more people in rest homes. There's going to be more people in home health. It'll be different though. They're going to be, those patients are going to be treated differently, but healthcare is still the place to go. If Rick Scott started over today, obviously he would be more successful sooner in the current financial environment. Would Rick follow QLA exactly? Yes, he would. He would do exactly the same thing, except he would do it quicker. What has fundamentally changed in QLA post-virus? Nothing has changed. The only thing that's changed is that it warrants a motivated seller even more so. Towards the end of last year and the beginning of this year, and as I talked at the one-day seminar in January in London, which in hindsight was a blessing that we got that away, is that motivated sellers are primarily why QLA is stronger now in this environment. Plus, as I've said all along, it eliminates commercial banks or whatever financial institutions you were going to use. What discount factor or percentage should be applied to forecast a break-even or worst-case scenario? Well, no, there is no discount factor. I'm just telling you, if you paid $1 million for something in the last 8 weeks, it's probably worth between $750,000 and is down to $500,000, or it may not be worth anything. And that's why the higher the percentage for motivated seller of the transaction, the better off you are. How has getting the money changed in the current times? Same approach? Yes, except it takes more calls. I've been asked directly or indirectly on social media when I posted a comment maybe a week ago. As most of you know, a vast majority of my net worth was made in a collapsing market when oil went from $41 and change down to $6 or $7 a barrel. And what it takes is QLA, but more calls. Now, you've heard me say that I used to make 6+ presentations a day. Well, the reason I was making 6+ presentations a day, the primary reason is because the market was collapsing and I was having to see more people, talk to more people. Now, this is pre-internet, so I didn't have the benefit of Skype and Zoom, etc. But I did have the benefit of shoe leather, as Bruce Whipple would say. And so the only thing that's really changed is it's even more a game of numbers. Where the corona-related downturn presents an opportunity for buyers with cash. Cash is king again. Cash has always been king. It's not king again. But for those of us with no cash, is there anything in the stimulus package? I'm not familiar with the stimulus package, although almost everybody, I think there's 135 or 140 million people in America that are eligible for the stimulus package. And you have to check, but as I understand it, the SBA is more interested in keeping businesses alive than funding new businesses. So it's easier to do this with a bank that is SBA approved, if you will, that has already had a relationship with you. It's not impossible, but it's just harder. As far as the rest of the question, but for those of us who don't know cash, is there anything, where would we find the 20% needed for a first deal? You don't need 20% for the first deal. You don't need, okay? The SBA says equity. It doesn't say your equity. Some banks will still take seller finance as equity. What you should be doing right now, take a deep breath and double your output. If you're making 20 calls a day before, you ought to be making 40 or 50 calls a day. Other than fulfilling PPE shortages, how can government contractors position themselves to thrive amidst the COVID? Okay. Not any way that I have figured out yet. Of course, it's early days, but the government contracts that are reference the COVID-19 are going to be priority items, i.e. masks, surgical gowns, gloves, etc. Which niches to focus on right now? Industries that flourish. We know healthcare. We know all that. Versus industries that will probably rebound. I'm not focusing on the industries that might rebound because we don't know when they're going to rebound. Okay. Remember, it's as soon as humanly possible. We want you to be doing deals. And although I'm sure in some format, booze cruising is going to rebound. Now, we've canceled 2 cruises for my 75th birthday coming up in a few months. I might have exaggerated when I said that we're going to be able to buy cruise lines for scrap iron value. But cruising has changed. Are you ever going to want to sit in a dining room of 500 people on a boat? 6 at a table? Probably not again. But we'll get into other things like movie theaters, etc. So there are things like retail, construction, with some blowhard on real estate magnate in New York City said this was going to be good for commercial real estate in New York. Because he's telling you, because now, let's say that you had 100,000 square feet in a building, Manhattan, downtown Manhattan. And let's say that you had 5,000 employees in that. Okay? Well, now you're probably going to be able to get 2,000 employees or maximum 3,000 employees in the same space. Now, he contends that you will just buy more real estate and build more buildings. Well, that's bullshit. That's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is the model is going to be towards working at home. Now, I'm not a believer of working at home. I would rather have you all under one roof. That's my experience of 50 years. And of course, I'm slightly biased because I was in Asia almost 15 years, and I don't believe in them working from home. But certain industries won't rebound at all, and we'll get into those later on in the questions. What multiples are okay to pay? There's no multiples that are okay to pay. Okay, we used to say 3 to 6 times cash flow, 3 to 6 times EBITDA. Now it's maybe 1 to 2 times. What should the earnout be as a percentage? There is no percentage of earnout. Right now, you want as much as humanly possible in seller's finance. Should we adjust the deal structure size? Of course you should. Do you think the financial and banking system is breaking down at the moment because of too much debt? No. Now, I was crying about a tsunami since last year, actually before last year. I didn't think it would come in the form of a virus from China. I thought it would come in form of the national debt in the U.S. Bubble bursting or some other. But the banks are in pretty good shape. The big banks are in pretty good shape. The stress tests that they've had to go through since 2008, 2009 has made them get stronger. But I would say the smaller banks, the regional banks, are the banks that are going to suffer. The bank that is in bumfuck Kansas that's banking to farmers without the stimulus package, a lot of those banks are going to go out of business. What opportunities are those for online net scum with no money? For my way of thinking, not many. That aren't scams. There's a lot of new scams, COVID-19 scams. I'm not familiar with those. You probably understand them better than I do. But as I told a Hall of Famer yesterday, when he came up with an idea for a new platform for something online, and I said, one deal First two questions said, how long is it going to take you to make $1 million? He didn't answer that. And then the second question I asked him was, how many deals does it take you to make $1 million doing a QLA roll-up? Normally, you're a short millionaire off your first deal. I rest my case. What would be the adjusted multiples for valuation for cybersecurity under the current financial conditions? They're bid up, whereas we're buying businesses 3 to 6 times cash flow. The cybersecurity stuff is already selling at 10, 12, 15 times cash flow. But they're not going to be bid up. I mean, they're going to come down, but they're not going to come down to the 3 to 5. Cybersecurity conditions, if there are alternatives or acquisition candidates that have government-backed contracts will be at the higher end of the continuum. Those that don't have government contracts will be at the lower end of the continuum, if at all. At present, we see a combination of bank crisis, economic crisis, that's financial and real economy, and excessive scary news business. This should cause a crisis we have never experienced before. Yeah, that goes without saying, kid. What are the success parameters to overcome and benefit from the mega crisis for individual company national? The same thing that I've been telling you for almost 27 years, the same thing I've been really emphasizing the last couple of years, and the same thing that I emphasized at the one-day seminar. Again, we were fortunate to get it away. And the seminar in February is that the motivated sellers across the economy, both individual company, are going to be the ones that that bring us out of this crisis. And there are no success parameters other than if cash flow, free cash flow, doesn't cover debt service, and there is a combination of that with seller finance, it's not going to work. But now the banks are saying, instead of saying they'll take it 1.15 or 1.25 times debt service, they're going to want to see 1.5, 2 times. I had a deal fall out of bed last week that was 1.67 time, even at a reduced price, is 1.67 debt service was covered by cash flow, and the bank pulled away. The banks are going to want 2 times, probably in my judgment. Dan, I understand there will be blood bath for, this is very true. This is from a guy that's on his way to the Hall of Fame. He's a pendejo Mexican, which I'm not going to say his name, already successful. Dan, I understand there will be a bloodbath for malls, small retail, real estate, large office space, retail strips, large box space, hotels, motels, etc. All true, all the above. But also, dentists, chiropractors, massage parlors, tanning places. The retail business is dead. I mean, I just saw a big delivery here from Booker, which is a big PLC wholesale that delivers food, etc., which I was unsuccessful in a hostile takeover about 20 years ago. Deliver stacks of stuff this big, okay? We're going to get more and more stuff delivered. The retail is dead. Now, he asked, he thinks affordable housing apartments will be strong in Q1 of 2021. This is in the Los Angeles area. We'll still have a huge shortage of affordable housing in Los Angeles, and it's way too expensive and risky to build new apartments. I agree. Should I stick to my core strategy of purchasing apartment buildings from distressed baby boomers using seller finance and JVs? And the answer is yes.